So it's my absolute joy to welcome Delia Cannings to Clean Conscience Conversations. Delia is very well known in the cleaning world. She's the chair of the British Cleaning Council, but that really is just the tip of what she does. She's had a prolific career within the industry, and hopefully some of our questions will unpack some of what she is able to share. So without further ado, welcome, Delia.
Welcome is very nice, and thank you, Antoinette, for inviting me to speak to you and your followers.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to kick off with a quick question. Like, how did you get into cleaning and the facilities management industry?
Well, to be honest with you, it was my love of fashion. I absolutely was consumed with shopping and fashion when I was very young. And I thought, well, let me get a little part-time job that can supplement my need. And I was working in hotels weekends and earning a little salary that enabled me to shop. And I used to shop in a place called Chelsea Girl. So those of us that are old enough will remember Chelsea Girl. Chelsea Girl, yeah. So hardcore Chelsea Girl shopper. And that got me going. So, but then I just developed a real passion for the industry, a real love of cleaning and spaces that were conducive to looking nice smells, organised, and that's how it started. So I thought, well, let's make this a bit of a career. I went from hotels to hospitals, and kind of did a bit of work in hotels, bit of work in hospitals. And then I went to college because I thought, well, I'm going to have to make this cleaning a bit of a career because it seems as though it's not very well recognised. And although I worked in places for lengths of time, people would refer to me by the colour of my overall, the girl in the green overall, the girl with the long hair. And I thought, oh, hang on a second, this is quite scientific stuff. So found out there were some courses available, Sitting Guilds courses, got myself on them, did a bit of training and thought, wow, who'd have known there was so much in dust? So took it from there, took it the full length that I possibly could while my boys were young. And then as they got older, went after positions that were a little bit more conducive to being able to promote what I believed in. And so went from operator to supervisor to manager to director. And then ultimately, hey ho, running my own little business. But I'm still the toilet cleaner. I clean a mean toilet and I never forget where I came from or my roots.
Absolutely. I actually found myself on a site visit the other day, getting my elbows dirty and cleaning a sink and then a loo. So that part never changes, does it? It's
for sure.
Good to get your hand in every now and then.
You do.
So, I mean, you've had various roles over the years. Can you tell us what you're able to share now? Like, what's your role now, or what roles you want to talk about for now?
Okay, so I am actually the chair of the British Cleaning Council up until July. I was the deputy prior to, so I've had a few years in that role. And the British Cleaning Council is kind of the voice of the cleaning industry, so it's an opportunity to raise profile. It's an opportunity to work with government in the hope that we can convince them to do what's right. And it's an opportunity to meet like-minded people, share ideas and try and get some things on the table and discussed and get that kind of old nut cracked that anybody can clean when they can't. So opportunities have been fabulous because when I left full-time work and went into running my own business, which I run now, I discovered avenues I didn't realise were available and met a lot of people who I hadn't up until that point come across, like-minded people working together for the good cause. It's a passion of mine, so that our voice is heard. And so I was able to use that I've developed over the years, both working for industry and working on behalf of industry, to make a difference and to make some points and to maybe speak quite loudly on occasions and have sharp teeth on other occasions. But, it's working.
You've definitely been a great inspiration for me. I always love to see anyone shouting out loud and advocating for an industry, but to see a woman in that position as well is particularly encouraging for, you know, another woman striving for the same. So yeah, maximum respect to you.
Thank you.
So you've been a really strong advocate for professionalising the cleaning industry. What would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions about cleaning as a career?
I think that the fact that it is still not recognised as a skilled occupation. I think that education and training is secondary on most people's budgets, and there's a view that anyone can clean, and actually, you know, recognised, trained cleaning staff are credible and will take your business to heights that maybe you don't realise. I think sometimes at a senior level within some of our organisations, those people at those higher levels in management positions really would benefit from having the grassroots training. So what they're asking for is actually doable because they've tried it themselves. But there are a number of things, but I think everything comes back to education and training. And for education and training, we have to have government support. And clearly government support is not always readily available because, dare I say, the government have not really recognised the value of the environmental ninja, the cleaning operative.
Even since COVID and the whole key worker status?
So that's when they started to listen to us a little bit, but not to the extent that we feel we've won the battle. We are still battling. You know, during COVID, it was very prevalent and there was quite a lot of interaction. However, since COVID, it's kind of died a little bit of a death, and we're fighting that battle. And we had an APPG created, which was closed down. So we're now looking to reinstall that APPG under another name, but we still need to fight the good fight. So it hasn't gone away. The pandemic might have gone away, but the opportunistic bacteria and the microorganisms and the concerns of the future are still there. And so we need to be ready. We need to be able to create a resilient UK. And we can only do that if we can train our people, recognise the value they bring to the table, and get the government to put their hand in the pocket to pay for
it. Brilliant summary. Yes. Is all I've got to say to that. So many thoughts about that. One thing I really agree with you. I'm cleaner number one in my business, and as you heard, I still pitch my hand in from time to time. But all of my admin team are homegrown, and if they're not, and also there's one that is not, they have held cleaning operative positions before. Because I absolutely agree, unless you can understand what you're asking your colleagues to do in the field with the materials that they've got in the time that's presented to them, you will never comprehend the stresses and strains and compromises that are being asked of them in the field. So I was really glad that you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got a question about recruitment. In your opinion, has it changed over the years? And are there any challenges that businesses today might particularly face?
I think that recruitment has changed on a number of fronts. I mean, we've never known a time when the DBS is so vital and so long-winded and so capable of denying somebody the opportunity to access employment because they haven't got it, or it's taken a long time to get it, or by the time they get it, the job is gone and the employer doesn't wait. So I think that has had an impact. We are fractured as an industry at the moment in terms of staff vacancies. We haven't got enough people to fill those vacancies. And we do run the risk sometimes of employing for the wrong reasons. And that has massive ramifications. But I also feel that the checking of credentials, and we don't have a one-stop shop, and I wish we did, almost like the passport for cleaning. There is a couple of things out there that are being looked at the moment, but we need to have a way of actually, at a click of a button in this world of modern technology and techno-savvy individuals, pressing a button to bring that person's name up and see exactly what's the deal. And the deal could be anything from their experience to their length of time in the country, to their access to funding, to their credibility. We've got it all in one place, but we're still a little bit behind the times. It's still very fragmented. I guess all of those things play a part, but they're changing. They're changing slowly, Antoinette, but maybe not fast enough for my time. But I'd like to see a one-stop shop so we can check you out without having to go through the long-winded process by which time you've lost the will to live and you've got to work somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the gnarly problems that we often face is around pay. So pay for cleaning operatives versus what clients are charged. We're strong real living wage advocates. We believe that without a real living wage, people just can't thrive in a situation, particularly in London. But have you got any comments about what that means for business owners, particularly cleaning, where the margins are so tight?
Yeah, it is very difficult, and particularly with the increases in national insurance and you know the taxes that have to be paid, it does almost disqualify a lot of people from even entertaining the idea. Somebody you know, has to fork out far more than they're bringing in. It doesn't give them the opportunity to develop their business in a way that they might. They might want to buy nice uniforms. They might want to buy modern technology in terms of cleaning equipment, but they think, well, how can I do this on that sort of money? My own view is that where there is a willingness for employers to engage their staff in training, I think there should be almost a point system that when they do certain training will help to create a resilient UK, that they should have some form of recognition for doing that, and whether that would be via lower taxes, less insurance, or a bonus of some description. I mean, the levy is a fund that's paid into by big employers. Now, smaller companies can tap into that levy because smaller companies can apply to companies who don't use their levy for a levy grant. It's called gifting. So a small company can go to a big company and say, hey, do you want to gift me a few shillings? And if they're not using their levy, if they don't use it, they lose it, and it's a compulsory payment. So then they can be seen as supporting the underdog, as it was, the smaller business, and then that smaller business can start to thrive, albeit they start going after the bigger businesses work. We'd have to watch that, but we have to find ways of enabling them to have the training, and then by giving them the training for the government to say, okay, we'll allocate you points, and when you get so many points you can get reductions on national insurance and tax, because you are skilling up the workforce to contribute to a resilient UK. So the next time we have an issue with such as the pandemic, we're equipped, we're ready to rock, we can go. And actually we did it ourselves, because what we did was we went to the bigger companies and said, but can we have some of your levy funding? We got ourselves trained up. And then the government said, hey, you can have a few points for that, and those points make prizes. So I just think it takes a little bit of maverick thinking, a bit of group-like analysis, and a bit of, you know, sharp teeth. A few sharp teeth probably come in handy as well.
So I just want to highlight that point for all of the SMEs out there. For those of you that are bold and beautiful and with maverick thinking, there is a levy fund with the possibility of asking for gifting from larger companies.
Oh, yeah.
And you could chance your arm. You heard it here. Don't miss out on that.
And you know, Antoinette, the big companies love it, because when the big companies are seen to gift, they're ticking their social values right off the list. They can seek publicity, accreditation. They can pat themselves on the back, saying, you know, we're helping the little boys. We're giving a hand here, but watch out, because the hand that feeds can get bitten. So you do need to be quite careful. Eventually, well, I'll become so big, I might take your business. And I'm being honest there, because you've got to think about everything that's out there. But the levy fund is going back to the Treasury because it's not being used. And the levy fund, if you don't use it, you lose it. So why not gift it to somebody who wants it, who will use it to benefit the UK actually benefit us all. So think on. If you Google levy fund gifting, it'll give you a whole pile of information that might be quite useful. And might tell you a few things you didn't know, but always go down the Google the grant and see what's available. Why not?
Brilliant. There've been so many nuggets of gold. That is like platinum gold, if that's such a thing. Thank you for sharing that. But in terms of the position that you're in, what changes would you love to see in the industry or policy?
I guess there's a few things actually. I think that I'd like senior people in some of our companies to get cleaning savvy. Don't give instructions if you haven't done it. That would be one thing. The other thing I'd like to see is bamboo more widely used, and let's have a little think about the damage we're doing with some of the other options that are out there. We need to embrace bamboo far more. I think that we also need to focus on young blood. The Generation Z is the future. We've got to get the youngsters into our industry. And actually at the cleaning show quite recently, we invited youngsters from schools. And whilst they rocked up thinking, oh, my granny cleans, they actually had a shock when they saw the digital platforms, the robots, the cobots, and they started having a little chat and saying, oh, actually, I didn't realise it was so tech savvy. So we've got to get this young blood interested because they are the future. They are going to lead the way. And, it's a bit of an old wives' tale that it's actually older people who can't do much else that go into cleaning. That's all gone now. It's very much a modern industry worth in excess of 66 billion with 77,000 companies. We're a force to be reckoned with. The cleaning industry is within the top 10. The top 10 industries. Now, years ago, who'd have thought that? Who'd have thought cleaning would be up there with the top 10? It's the place to be. And during the pandemic, although that it was problematic and it was a very sad time for us, we have seen a growth. We have seen a growth. It's quite interesting to note that people who worked at home during the pandemic, they didn't need their offices cleaned anymore. So there was cuts made. But people who were working at home needed their houses cleaned more. So the whole thing went full circle. So instead of staff going into the offices to clean, people were thinking, oh, I'll jump on the residential cleaning bandwagon because there's an opportunity because people are working at home all day. They haven't got time to clean their own home. So it turned around a little bit. So, yeah, I guess there's a number of things, the bamboo, the use of bamboo, the training and education for those that give directions and instructions. I think the technical savvy, the robots, the cobots. I just think there's so much out there, but the young blood, let's get the young blood in. Let's make them see our industry sexy and glamorous and wanting to be with us. We know it is, Antoinette. I mean, you're one of those glamorous women that I have ever come across. So you maintain that mantra that it is an industry where we are classy, we have glamour, we have knowledge, education, passion, vitality, integrity. We're not going anywhere, but we want the young blood to step up and do what we're doing.
Hear, hear. You've answered a few of the questions in my head, like in one fell swoop. I guess what innovations are you most excited about at the moment in the industry?
God, there is so many. I quite like, I don't know if you come across this, but I like, for me, the cleaning cupboard of any establishment is the heart of the business.
Yeah.
So for me, you show me your cleaning cupboard and I'll tell you a lot more about you than I knew just by looking at you.
Absolutely.
So I like the idea that I think the cleaning cupboard becomes a chore to a lot of people. I've opened some cleaning cupboard doors and it's just been absolutely like a massacre has happened in there. Only with soil and dust and cobwebs and old machinery. I've opened vacuum cleaners and I thought Shergar was going to get out and he's been missing for years. So, I'm thinking, oh my gosh. But what I've noticed that forward-thinking companies, they're having everything transferred now digitally. So you can go into a cleaning cupboard and there'll be a little iPad sitting on the wall. You put your fingerprint on it, it knows you're there. You put a couple of numbers in and you can read what stock's in there, when the machines were last maintained, what's the date on the cosh. You can use the Q codes to scan rather than start fiddling through files and touching things and what have you. So I think this sort of innovation of everything accessible at a fingertip is phenomenal. And there are even some machines out there now and cleaning trolleys where it's got its own little pad, like a little iPad on the trolley. You take your trolley, you sign in with your fingerprint. It knows how long you had the trolley for, how many hours you're in a certain area. Wow. It's really modern and lovely, and I think the sort of stuff that the young people will really like. I guess it's back to technology. I wouldn't have said that years ago. No, give me a mop and bucket any day. But now, and a folder, I like a folder with lots of bits of paper in. Forget that now. Get it all on your iPad and, just make sure you clean your iPad because it is a touch point.
Yes, there is that. We're wrapping up. I've got a surprise question for you. But before that, I'd just love to know what you love about what you do.
I think meeting people and sharing best practice. I love to see the eyebrow movements when I talk to people, and then I know whether I've got them or not. So meeting people and sharing best practice, it gives me such great satisfaction. I was the girl in the green overall, the girl with the long hair, the person without a name for years and years. I started cleaning with my boys when I was very, very young to support fashion. But when my boys were babies, I solidified it to make sure that, I could be there for them and go to work. But the people that I have met have been vast and varied. I've worked in hotels where we've had the stars in, and I could tell you a few stories about them as well when you've got the time. But I've just met so many delicious people, and I've had it's been so humbling to actually come across people that actually are quite interested in what you're doing. And I've also met people that have taught me so much about cleaning, the cleaning industry, the science behind it. And so, I feel very honoured and humbled to have been in the company of a lot of these people, who many of them are still my friends today. So meeting people, sharing best practice, and recognising that everybody's got something to offer.
That's really lovely. Thank you. And I don't think I'm qualified to say this, but I know that you have been a really strong advocate for us in our industry. I guess one little question beyond that, what are you doing beyond July? Because we're really going to miss having such a force of nature representing us in this capacity.
Well, obviously we all kind of step back at some point, and you have to kind of just get a little bit of a work-life balance. So I guess that it would be very difficult to walk away completely. So I'll still keep a hand in, and I will still support the industry, and I might be lucky enough to be invited to the odd gig, which I will go to. But I think as I head for that pasture that is a little greener, I will always have an eye on the one that I've left, and hopefully be able to contribute still for a while. So although it's a sliding out, it's not a complete withdrawal, but ultimately it will be, because, I've got 9 grandchildren and I want to spend some time with them. And I've also got an aging mother who I look after. I want to spend some time with her. So, and actually I want to do nothing for a bit, if the truth be known.
Really, shock or a gasp. Yeah, well deserved. So my final question, which should have been from our previous guest, Matt Parfitt, but I completely forgot to ask him. So I've come up with a question instead, is what one thing do you regret not doing in your 20s? It's an on-the-spot question, sorry.
One thing that I regret not doing in my 20s, I think that actually my mother belonged to the cleaning industry, and I saw how hard she worked, but I never really valued or recognized the contribution she made to the NHS. So I actually started my journey a little later, and although I've been around for a very long time, I wish I had started it much earlier and more quickly, because back in those days it really was the view that, oh well, it's only a bit of cleaning, and I guess a lot of people were tarred with that brush. But it didn't take me too long to realize that actually it was a science. It was the application of scientific knowledge in a practical capacity. It was hard work. It was blood, sweat, and tears. And I will tell you, when I was working in hotels as a chambermaid, that we called them then, I was at the fittest point of my life, because I didn't need the gym. I didn't need anything, because that kept me fit in mind, body, and soul. So yeah, I'd have done it much sooner.
Agreed. You know, I've had many roles in life. I've taught, I've campaigned, but when I was on the ground cleaning for a good chunk of my working week, that gave me some of the deepest satisfaction that I've ever known. I'd lie down at night and think, oh, that person is just about to discover this tiny little thing that I've hidden away for them to find, or that office is going to kick in, lights are going to go off tomorrow, and they're going to enjoy a sparkly cleaning day. There's something deeply satisfying about this role and all that it embodies as you gather colleagues, as you learn about techniques, equipment, and totally agree. The more people that could be in this industry with a passion for it, with precision, with progressive mindset, the better we as an industry and the country as a whole will be.
I think you make a perfect point there. You know, it's those little things that make the difference. And long after you're gone, if that person remembers what you did, then you've made your mark. And I think that's quite important.
Well, Delia, you have been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for making the time. I know your time is limited and precious, so we don't take this lightly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Antoinette. All the best, and speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.